So right over here, we're trying to. At first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna read the discussion and conclusion part of a paper. And if you're asking Tanzim, how do I know which one is a discussion or which one is a conclusion? I said this, but I'm gonna repeat. It's gonna be written, all right. Like let's say this is like a huge paragraph. It's gonna have a heading in top of it which says discussion. Yeah, that's gonna say discussion, right? So you don't need to like find it or need to identify it. You can just like do it. So don't worry. And then you want to evaluate the impact on the field. As I said, uh, you need to know that what's the significance of the paper, and either or not, like, is this paper mean a lot for you, or does it change everything? Say, if we really could cure cancer, wouldn't it like change the whole medical landscape? That would have a huge impact, and that it would totally excel in this part. Evaluate the impact on the field. See, so because as a researcher, a lot of people, so like when we're studying at school, we're like growing like this, a total circle with a center, right? We're growing evenly. When you're doing a bachelor's, okay, let me just have a better drawing. When you're doing a bachelor's, so let's say this is a high school, you have even knowledge in all subjects. Yeah, even knowledge. Say it's an even circle. Then you specialize and major in something. Let's say it's science. You gain a bit more knowledge. Wait, uh, say this is science. Yeah, this is the science part. You ignore the arts part. No knowledge here. You learn a lot. Then you're getting a master's. You condense even more. And when you're doing a PhD, you're learning like this. It gets thinner and thinner. So you're like specializing or something. You're niching down on a specific topic so you can actually contribute. And yeah, so then you're gonna. In the past one, I got distracted. Sorry about that. But evaluating implication in future directions, you're gonna identify the future directions. So based on the impact. So let's say there's a cure for cancer. So now you know that, hey, now that cancer has a cheap cure, let's say it's cheap, we won't need chemotherapy anymore. So chemotherapy research is gonna be done. We don't need chemotherapy research. No one's gonna publish chemotherapy research. We don't want to invest in chemotherapy research. So this is gone, and then that is applied to the review paper. So now before we go, so this is like a basic of research. So this is like, let's say there's a whole research types. It can be divided into two types. One is a literature review. Another is empirical research. And literature review. Can anyone remind me what literature review means? Anyone? Literature review. What did we do in this part? Wait. What did we do?
We summarize.
Try again. Well, you were partly correct because we just basically want to learn like what existing knowledge there already is. Right? This is the review part. So you read everything, you learn, ask people. You remember the sandwich part? We asked everyone about if they knew who was the one who stole my sandwich. So I'm already trying to see if there is a solution, an answer. Because when there is no answer, only then I'm gonna proceed to develop an a machine or a methodology to find an answer, right? So that's it. And there are some papers because remember a lot of papers are produced every day even. So there are two types of papers. In a literature review, it's just a summary. And well, wait, the person who said summary, did you mean the type of paper as a whole? Because if you did, then you're right. Sorry about that. Because like literature review, it just means that it's a summary of all the existing knowledge. So you're right, a summary. Sorry about that, but an empirical, on the other hand, is where you focus. The paper focuses on an answer or a solution to a problem. So in empirical research, we focus on this part and this part, right? This is the what we do in empirical research. E for empirical. Yeah, empirical research is what we do. But in a review paper, we just focus on this. Yes, we write a paper on a summary of other papers. That's all it is. And why we need that? Why are these even published? Because we're not dumb people to like read thousands of papers, right? We have limited time. So literature review, the unfortunate person who does a literature review reads a lot of papers for us, makes a summary so that we can actually not lose our time and just have an overview of the field. Of course, you need to read more papers. Literature review is not equivalent of all of those papers, but you get an idea, a rough idea. But these are the two types of papers in research: literature review and empirical research. These are the two types of papers we have overall. So what we mean over here is apply to review paper. You can take a screenshot. So if you're ever willing to make a review paper, you wanna follow this for every review paper actually. In fact, if you're writing a review paper, you wanna follow the whole 3-pass method. So you'll actually can take in everything. Okay, now we just want to go a bit more detail on data analysis. So you'll see in review papers and in empirical papers, there are a lot of graphs. And all of these graphs, all of these figures are an output of data analyses. Now I might say, hey, Tanzim, I'm in high school. I don't know data analysis. This is complex stuff. I mean, you've done bar diagrams, right? You've done simple things like, what else there is? Like even line graphs, like exponential curves, all that. Those are parts of data analysis as well. You're helping them visualize how it works. And if you want to help them visualize, you need to analyze the numbers, the information that you have to like help them visualize, and that's just you analyzing. So yeah, you have to analyze it first. And to do that, we're gonna have to process the data, put it into some statistical tools and interpretation, which just means, say this is the information. I put in a lot of information. It's like a funnel, right? Like a lot of information. These red dots are information. So the ones we do not need get filtered out. Filtered out through here. They're processed. So I say we only want the baby dots, the small dots, right? Let me do it with red. Yeah. So we want the small dots, not these ones. We don't want these ones. So we're gonna process it to only take these ones, like setting reasons or clauses so that we only process with this data. Let's say we're doing a research on females only or males only. So we're taking out the females. We're processing data only on males. Then we do put in a statistical tool, use a software basically to find patterns. The software is, how do they work? They work on algorithms. They work on mathematics, so you don't have to do it yourself. And then you can interpret it because it will produce the numbers, the answers, the graphs for you, so you can spend your time and have a quite peaceful life.